Greetings friends and fans of YouTube, it is nice to see you all again. Welcome to another one of my videos. I want to start really by apologising for not having uploaded anything for quite a few months now. The last proper video I did was the review of my ESP X50. The sheer reason has been that I've been focusing a little bit on working at the moment, both full-time and overtime, just to try and put some money together because there are things that I want to do this year that I really need to do. So, what is new with me? Well, I got to see Slipknot this year, which was a nice bonus. My dad bought me the ticket for Christmas, and we both travelled out to Sheffield in January to go and watch them at the Sheffield Arena, supported by the mighty Behemoth. The night as a whole was fantastic. There was a brilliant atmosphere from start to finish. Behemoth, for me, a little bit too heavy. Death metal's not really my thing. But there were some interesting riffs and licks within those songs that I couldn't help but enjoy. But Slipknot really did blow it out of the park that night. And if you've not ever got the chance to go see them, please go do so. They have one of the best stage shows I've ever seen live. Really good lighting and rig effects. But also, the band speaks for themselves. You know what I mean? They've been going a very, very long time. So whether you're new to metal or a seasoned metal veteran, Slipknot definitely is a band you should go and see. The other thing that's new is the guitar that you can see that I have currently dangling around my body. This is a ESP LTD Viper 301, and I've nicknamed it Jet for very obvious colour reasons. How did I come about this? Well, long story short, my band Ashes of Ire are knee-deep in our writing process, and whilst my Explorer was good for putting down initial ideas, when we started rehearsing the songs live, there was a real lack of grunt. And I realised it was because the Explorer had stock pickups. So I reached out online, I just said, was anyone selling anything basically that had actives? And someone was kind enough to message me back saying, well, I have this. And I was like, okay. I've never had a Viper series before. It's the first time I've had a ESP LTD Viper. I do like the shape because I like the SG shape. And this one, at some point in its life, was upgraded with EMG Zakk Wylde 8185s, which means they've got a boosted mid and treble so that Zakk can do all his signature squealy things, but it also makes them really, really good for chugging with. And I took this to a band practice for the first time, I believe last weekend or the weekend before, and it smashed it. I haven't had a practice that fun in quite a long time. The tone that came out of this guitar was incredible. So that is it. I've not got rid of the Explorer. I don't plan to. The Explorer will become my backup guitar, and I will probably put an EMG set in it. I'm thinking a Het set or a 5760 set, like what you get in regular ESP Eclipses. So, as with any review I ever do, I will go through some specs, I will go through some tones, and then it's just sort of up to yourself really to determine whether or not this could be the next guitar for you. I want to start obviously by saying that the Viper series does come in a lot of models. It has an entry model, same as the EX series. It has a mid-ranger, which I believe is the Viper 300 now, not the 301. It has like a high mid-ranger in the Viper 400, which comes with the EMGs as standard. And then it has the Viper 1000, which obviously has the EMGs and I believe lock-in hardware as well. So there are a number of ways you can get hold of ESP Vipers these days. I got mine secondhand, and I'm sort of glad that I did, because brand new, they're quite expensive, but they don't hold the value very well. They're one of the few shapes in guitars that doesn't really hold value that well, much like an actual Gibson SG. Which meant that I was able to pick this up relatively cheaply for the amount I wanted to pay. So, the body and neck are both mahogany, and that means that whilst it doesn't look it, it is a little bit of a weighty beast. It's quite a chunky guitar, but because of the fact that the two materials are the same and it's a set neck construction, it means that the entire body just resonates beautifully. It has this really lovely dark acoustic sound when it's unplugged, and you can feel all of the vibration across all of the body. The body as well, if I just bring it in a little closer, is contoured. meaning that it is very, very nice to play because everything just sits comfortably. Even on the back here, there's a little bit of a sort of belly cut contour going on. So it's just really, really comfy to play. Everything just sits where it needs to, and you can just chug away for days. No real problems. The headstock is a standard 3 above, 3 below, and it has the old ESP LTD logo. This logo in particular, I remember seeing on a lot of load and reload area Metallica signatures, including James Hetfield's Grinch version of the Viper, and Kirk Hammett's single cut Eclipse that he had during that time, which suggests to me that this guitar is late 90s, early 2000s. The tuning keys are ESP's own, but they are very, very good. They are very, very, very responsive to tuning, and they hold really, really well. I've not really had to do much tuning with this, and I don't really suffer with tuning issues. The guitar is set up as well, so the action's nice and low. It's just everything that I could have wanted for what I'm using it for. The fretboard is rosewood, and it does have a little bit of a binding on this side here. And it's a 24 fret rosewood board, but it has a Gibson scale length, which means that it's 24 3/4 from the end of the nut to the end of the bridge. Now, I've noticed it's a common thing with a lot of ESP models actually, especially the LTD series, that a lot of the guitars that have 24 frets usually tend to be either Gibson scale length or just above, and it's for sheer playability, it makes them so easy to play. Obviously the fretboard is lined with ESP LTD's flag inlays. The hardware is all black, you have the tone, the volume, and your 3-way switch. And because this has been upgraded at a later point in its life, the battery for it is in the control cavity there. So that is the guitar in a nutshell. As I say, it's great for hard rock. It really does look great on a hard rock stage. But quite a few of my friends that are true metalers also have said that they would really, really like one of these. So I feel quite blessed to have one, and it's definitely going to be an interesting part to my collection. So I'm going to switch over to my clean channel. For those that don't know my signal chain yet, it is my Samsung mobile camera and my guitar using a wireless Muslady system into a Blackstar ID Core 20 digital modelling amp. I'm going to put it on a clean setting with a touch of delay and reverb in the mix, just so that it isn't too flat, and then I'll go through each of the pickups. So, see you in a sec. Okay guys, so I am back now on the clean channel on my Blackstar amp, and just to give you an indication of how it sounds. I will say the guitar is tuned to my band's tuning of drop C sharp. It's quite a common metal tuning these days. Trivium make a lot of use of it, and the riff that I was playing at the start of this video was actually a Devin Townsend riff that was tuned up to C sharp. Really, really good song called Hyperdrive. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out. It is really good. So I'm going to start in the neck position, as I always do. So this is the 81 of the 81-85 set. And here we go. So what I noticed straight away, and I've noticed this a lot when I play with active pickups, is there is quite a lot more response, and as a result I have to pick a lot gentler. Normally I hit with some serious pick attack and some serious viscerality with my picking, but because of the way the actives are voiced, because of the compression, I don't have to pick quite as hard, which makes writing soft passages like this actually really, really fun. So you can hear it's really, really quite resonant, and it's really, really clear. And I'm just going to go through a quick lead sound comparison as well. hits everything in all the right spots, really. It's got that lovely warm sound to it, and a lot of the things that people complain with EMGs is, oh, they've still got too much gain in them when clean. Roll back on the volume. Let me just actually test that. So this is at full volume. And now with it rolled back. The key thing with active pickups is you've got to remember that they are compressed and they are designed to be really, really hot. So when you've got a pickup that's that hot, just roll back on the volume a little bit and it'll take some of the sting out of it. So the next position is the 2 pickup split, and here we go again. Things I do notice when I split to the 2 pickups split is that a lot of the bass drops out, which is really nice actually, because it means writing clean passages actually becomes a little bit easier. Like you're getting a lot of the grunt from the mids and the treble, but not enough of the bass that it becomes overbearing. It's quite honky, which I quite like. So we'll go again for that lead style sound. Again, it's got a lovely twang and spank to it, and yeah, you can still hear a little bit of the gain coming through, but not quite as much, and that just makes it sound really barky. I reckon if you were to run that through a crunch tone as opposed to just a full-on clean or a full-on overdrive, you'd actually get some really, really interesting sounds there. So the last pickup then is the 85 of the set, and again, it's a boosted set, so it has more mids and treble. And here we go. And the 85 is a slightly hotter pickup than the 81, which is usually why the 81 is the one that goes towards the neck. This is the one pickup I feel when I'm playing clean, I will have to really roll back with just to get that lovely glassy sound. So this is it at full volume and drop out a little bit. And the clean suddenly becomes really glassy. It's only really by playing with an incredibly hot set of pickups that I've realised how important the controls are on a guitar. Very rarely I ever touch the volume or the tone controls on a guitar because I'm not really a blues player, so I don't really need to make that many adjustments to my tone. But because these pickups are so hot because they're a boosted set, I've had to learn to roll back a little bit when playing clean, which has kind of been an interesting experience. So just again for that lead style sound comparison. Now I don't feel I have to roll off the volume so much when playing the leads because I like that sort of piercing lead. and it is really piercing. It's really, really resonant, and I quite like that. A lot of people that have followed my channel before know I do love active pickups. Even though I've played a lot of guitars that have had really good high-end passives, there is something about the active sound that I've always really gravitated towards. And as of yet, and I say as of yet, I've yet to find a passive pickup that is as good as an active set like the ones I've had before. No doubt I've probably jinxed myself there, and I probably will go to a music store at some point and find one. But or people will recommend things like bare knuckle, and again, I'm aware of pickups like that. I just really like the active sound. It's the metal sound. It's the sound I've known for years, and a lot of the bands that I listen to use these kinds of pickups. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to switch over to a Overdrive channel. Now the Overdrive channel, I'm going to take out the delay. Even though I had it on at the start of the video, I did it just so that I could do like a Devin Townsend thing, and I'm not quite in Devin Townsend's tuning to be able to pull it off properly, so I just want to play more like what I would be playing. So I will be back very shortly. There we are, guys, so I am back now, and I am on the Overdrive channel on my Blackstar amp. Now people will know Blackstar is quite an aggressive tone anyway. It's got that really lovely punchy sound, and a lot of bands again that I listen to that use Blackstars again usually tend to have passive or active pickups in them, or extremely high-end passives. So just to give you an idea of the kind of sound to expect, it just really grabs you by the throat. It's a really, really aggressive tone, and I really, really like that. So I'm going to start again in the neck position on the 81 of the 81-85 set. And even though I'm playing in the neck, I am just going to be riffing, just to give you an idea of the kind of sound. And again, I will go through the lead style. So here we go. I've always said about any kind of pickup is if you're a riffer, don't play the neck pickup to riff, ever. There's a lot of bass in the neck pickup, and there's a particular reason for that, which you'll hear when you play the lead stuff. But for riffing, it's not that great. But it's still got all that bark. You can really hear the pick attack. They are responsive pickups, there's no two ways about it. You can really hear all the grit and the aggression in the technique, but you lose a lot of the clarity of the chords when you play chordy stuff in the neck. So I am just going to do a lead sound comparison now. So here we go. And that is where the neck pickup shines with actives. You get that lovely creamy lead sound, especially up here in the more the bluesy register, I like, if you like, of the neck. Everything from the 12th fret up just sounds really, really good. Even the higher. But the thing that I do really like about this set as well is they pick up any kind of little nuance in your playing. So for instance, I'm using a vibrato technique there just to keep the note ringing, and you can really hear each shift of the string. And I really like that because it means that you can add your own little nuances to the way you play, and it'll make you sound really, really unique. And the active pickups are really, really good for picking that up. So the next position is the split pickups again. And again, I'm going to riff out. Here we go. you can hear the aggression start to really come through. So the 85 being the hotter pickup, when you split between the two, you get some of that mids come back in, and again you get sort of the ferocity of your pick attack. All the sort of ferocious parts of your playing start to come through. Again, not particularly good for chordy stuff, so let's see how it sounds with the lead. I feel the split position's not quite as nuanced, so it doesn't feel quite as defined as it should be. I'm not sure why, but when I'm in that mid position and playing lead, I don't feel like I'm getting everything out of the note that I should be. And I think it's because you do lose some of the bass, so obviously you lose some of the low end, which really helps the notes to carry, but you're also pushing a bit too much of the high end for it to really clear through. Let's just try it in the higher register. Maybe in the higher register it might not be bad for playing something that might sound a bit like a Telecaster. It's certainly got that sort of hot rail kind of pickup vibe. So, on to the final position now, which is the bridge. Now, the bridge is extremely hot. 85s are hot to start with, but a boosted set even more so. I am going to riff out a little bit here, guys, just so you can really get a good feel for how this sounds. So here we go. It's just ballsy, isn't it? Let's be truthfully honest, that is a quintessential metal tone. And I have had to dial the gain back in order to get that, because too much gain with active pickups and it almost sounds scooped. So, I'm going to go to a lead style sound now. Again, I'm just going to play about. I always play about, as anyone that follows my channels know, I don't really do a lot of editing, and a lot of my playing is ad-libbed. And I feel that that gives a more human approach to my videos, which I kind of like. So, this is the bridge position for lead style stuff. It's honky. It's really, really honky, but I really, really like that. Especially for the sort of feelsy stuff that you can do on the lower end of the neck. It squeals nicely as well, which you would expect from a Zakk Wylde set. And yeah, I have to admit, guys, to say I got this second hand, I absolutely love this thing. I think one of the things I do really adore about it is the fact that it's all black, even the neck. I quite like painted necks. Both the guitars I own now have got painted necks, and there's just something about the way that they feel as I play. That gloss neck feel is just lovely. As I said, I got this because I wanted to write things with a much better punch for the band, and I feel we are really starting to achieve that now. If you don't already, I will leave a link in the description below to follow my band on Facebook, and I will leave obviously links to my own social media as well. I want to thank you all for your continued support over the years. I've seen a couple of my videos now starting to transcend into numbers that I never ever thought possible. The very first review video I ever did with my Jackson Rhodes, if you like, a proper review video, that has surpassed 10,000 views now, and I can't thank anyone enough for that. If you're one of the people that has shared that video, watched that video, bought something as a result of that video, then honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It means a lot to me as a small fish in a really big pond, if you like, of people actually take the time out of their day to watch their content, the content that I put out. Especially when you've got other YouTubers like Jared Dines, Rob Scallon, Fluff, that all do similar things to what I do. They review gear. Ola England as well. They all review gear. They all are much, much better guitar players than I am. So to know that people take time out of their day to watch me play and hear what I have to say about the instruments that I play is extremely humbling. So, the ESP LTD Viper, it is a perfect metal machine. The question is now is, do you want one? Realistically, they start with the entry-level models at about £180 UK, and can vary anything up to 7, 8, 9, even £1,000 UK, depending on how far up you go. Honestly, for me, it's the perfect rock guitar, and it more than substantially covers metal quite easily, thanks to the pickup upgrade. I want to thank you all, as always, guys, for watching. Take care, and I will see you soon.